Now we're going to look at some quadratic trinomials, particularly how to factorize them, how to take any of these quadratic expression and represent it as a product of two factors. Now, when you're looking at factorizing quadratic trinomials, we actually have three different methods. We have the guide number method, we have the crisscross method, or some people call it the big X method, and then we have the method where we go straight to the two brackets. So depending on what school you go to, depending on your teacher, you might have learned either of these three methods. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to pick three questions, and I'm going to do the three questions with the guide number method, then the same three questions with the crisscross method, and the same three questions with the two brackets method. You do not have to know how to do all three methods. You pick whatever one suits you the best and stick with that one. So we're going to start off with the guide number method to begin with. So let's have a look at an example. The question we're going to start with is this question 4 here, 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So we've got 2x squared plus 5x plus 3, and we're looking at the guide number method. So the first thing we have to do is, what is the guide number? GN for guide number. The guide number you get when you multiply the first number, the number in front of the x squared, by the last number. All right, so in this case, we're going to multiply 2 by 3. So our guide number for this example is 6. Okay, what is the next step? What we have to do then is we take this number 6 and we get its factors. And the factors of 6 for this example could be 1 by 6, or maybe it's 3 by 2. So we've two sets of factors for 6. Which one of these sets are we interested in? Well, we look back at our trinomial and we concentrate on the middle value here, 5x. So we're really interested in the 5. Whatever set of factors we take here, we have to be able to add or subtract them and combine them to get 5. So in this case, we want to add them because we have all pluses. So if we add 1 and 6, we're going to get 7. That's no good. But if we add 3 and 2, we will get 5. And that's what we want. So once we figured out that 3 and 2 are the factors of the guide number that I'm interested in, we rewrite the trinomial. So I'm going to rewrite the trinomial as 2x squared plus, and I'm going to split this 5x up. 5x is going to get split up into, I have the factors, remember, 3 and 2, so 2x plus 3x. And then we still have our plus 3. So I just split my 5x up into 2x plus 3x. Where did I get the 2 and the 3? The 2 and the 3 were factors of my guide number. So you will always split the middle value up into factors of the guide number. So once you've this much done, we actually finish it by using the grouping method. So if you're unfamiliar with the grouping method, you should check the previous video on the introduction to factors. So looking at the first two terms here, my common factor is 2x, so I'll factorize out 2x. And in the bracket, I'll have x plus 1 plus what's common to the second two terms here is 3, so I'll factorize out my 3. And in the bracket, I'll have x plus 1. And you guys remember from grouping that these two brackets have to be the same. All right, those two brackets have to be the same in order for your grouping to be correct. So then to finish it off, we just tidy it up. So one of the brackets in our answer will be x plus 1. And the other answer, the other bracket, will be 2x plus 3. And we got that from the 2x and the plus 3 outside. So we're going to do a couple more examples, just quick review over that. We get the guide number by multiplying the first number by the last number, the number in front of the x squared by the number at the end. That gave us our guide number. We then get the factors of the guide number, what numbers multiply to give us that guide number. And we will only be interested in one set of those factors, and the set of those factors we're interested in will add to the middle number here. So in this case, we were interested in 3 and 2, or 2 and 3, whatever we want to look at it. And we split up the 5x into 2x plus 3x. And then we did our grouping to finish the factorizing. Okay, let's have a look at another example. 5x squared plus 17x plus 6. So our guide number is going to be 5 times 6. So 5 times 6 is 30. So our guide number is 30. Now, we have to figure out how to split 30 up in order to get 17 as the result when you add the factors. So in other words, what are my factors of 30? Well, we could have 30 by 1. We could have 15 by 2. We could have 5 by 6. Now, which one of these three sets of factors can we combine to create 17? Well, clearly 15 and 2 we can combine to create 17. So, starting with the question, rewriting it, 5x squared plus 15x plus 2x plus 6. Remember, we split the 17x up, and what we split it up into came from the factors of the guide number. Once you're here, it's just a case of doing your grouping, factorizing out 5x out of the first two terms, and you'll have x plus 3, plus what's common to the next two terms is 2, and you'll have x plus 3. Then finishing the question, x plus 3, bracket 5x plus 2 is how we factorize this trinomial. Let's look at one more example. So 12x squared plus 19x minus 10. So once again, let's get our guide number. Our guide number we get by multiplying the first number by the last number. So 12 by 10, we're going to say is 120. Then the factors of 120, we have a lot here now, so it could be 120 by 1, maybe 60 by 2, maybe 40 by 3, maybe 30 by 4, maybe it's 24 by 5, maybe it's 20 by 6, and so on. So we actually have stumbled across the ones we need here. So we need to pick one pair from this set, and the pair we're going to pick, by the way, I left out 12 by 10. The pair we are going to pick must be able to combine to get a 19. So which one of these pairs can we add or subtract to get 19? So we can see the result, or the one we're looking for, is this one, 24 by 5. So we're going to rewrite this quadratic trinomial, 12x squared, and we're going to split our 19x up according to what we have here. So 19x, I'm going to call that plus 24x minus 5x. And then we still have our minus 10 at the end. Okay, so now we can factorize by grouping. So what's common to the first two terms is 12x, and in the bracket I'll have x plus 2. And I'll factorize out a minus 5 out of the next two, and I'll have x plus 2. So my final result will be x plus 2 times 12x minus 5. And that is the third one factorized. So that's our brief introduction to factorizing quadratic trinomials using the guide number method. Now, remember, I said we have three different methods. So I'm going to do the same three questions again now using the crisscross method. You guys at home, you don't need to know all three methods. So if you're happy enough with the guide number method, we can just turn the video off now and start practicing questions. However, if you feel you prefer a different method, let's have a look at the crisscross method. So, the crisscross method, 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. To start this, we create a big X, a crisscross. And what we do is, the first thing we decide is, how do we get 2x squared? What are the factors of 2x squared? What do we multiply to get 2x squared? Well, that would be 2x multiplied by x. That would be 2x squared. What we're going to write on the other side is, how do we factorize to get 3? Or what are the factors of 3? So our factors of 3 are simply just 3 and 1. And I either put the 3 here and the 1 here, or I put the 3 here and the 1 here. So how do I figure that out? How we figure that out is we do this crisscross multiplication. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the 2x by the 3. When we do that, we get 6x. We're going to multiply the x by the 1. When we do that, we get 1x. And because we have all pluses here, we're going to add them. When you add them, you get 7x. But we need to get 5x when we add them. So this is incorrect. The way I have this one set up I've got the 3 and the 1 the wrong way around. So there's a lot of trial and error with the crisscross method. Sometimes you do it and it just doesn't work out, and then you try it a different way. So you will do some trial and error with the crisscross method. So this way didn't work. So let's try the other way then. Let's swap the position of the 3 and the 1. So let's put the 3 here and the 1 here. Now, 2x times the 1 is going to be 2x. X times the 3 is going to be 3x. And when we add those, we get 5x. In this case, everything is a plus because we have all pluses in the question. Everything's going to be a plus. So that's a plus, that's a plus, that's a plus. So in order for that to be a plus 3x, this needs to be a plus 3. In order for that to be a plus 2x, this needs to be a plus 1. So once you've done your crisscross multiplication and everything has worked out, the next thing we do is just tidy up our answer inside in 2 brackets. And when you're creating the brackets, we create the brackets straight across. So the 2x will be in a bracket with the plus 3, and the x will be in a bracket with the plus 1. And here we go, 2x plus 3, x plus 1 is my solution in this case. And you will see that is the same answer we got when we did it the guide number method, x plus 1 and 2x plus 3 like we had here. So it's really just 2 different ways of doing the same thing, 2x plus 3, x plus 1. All right, let's have a look at another example here. 5x squared plus 17x plus 6. So we do our big X, our crisscross. The first thing we say is, how do we get 5x squared? We know that that's 5x times x. Now, factors of 6. Factors of 6, you could have 6 times 1, or you could have 3 times 2. So once again, we're going to play around with a bit of trial and error here. So if I start with the 3 and 2, let's say I put the 2 here and the 3 here. So, and we do our multiplication check. 5x times 2, that's 10x. X times 3, that's 3x. There is no way to combine a 10x and a 3x under addition or subtraction to get 17x. So this layout is not correct. Let's try again. Let's swap the position of the 2 and the 3. So let's put the 3 here and the 2 here. So then we'll have another look. 5x times 3, that's 15x. X times 2, that's 2x. And yes, we can combine 2x and 15x to get the 17x that we're interested in the middle here. Once again, because we're dealing with all pluses in this question, this is going to be a plus, this is going to be a plus, so this is going to be a plus. So if this has to be a plus 2x, this will be a plus 2. If this has to be a plus 15x, this will be a plus 3. Then to finish the question, we just create our brackets. And remember, you create the brackets across. You create the brackets the opposite to the crisscross multiplication. So the crisscross multiplication, the 5x got multiplied by the 3 for the 15x. But when you create the brackets, the 5x gets paired up with the plus 2. So 5x plus 2 and x plus 3 are my factors in this case. One more example for you guys. The next one, 12x squared plus 19x minus 10. Now this one's tricky, right? We start with our crisscross. 12x squared. 12x squared, that could be 12x times x, or maybe it's 6x times 2x, or maybe it's 4x times 3x. And there's no real way to know before you start. It's just trial and error. We'll try 12x times x first. If that works, great. If not, then we'll try 6x and 2x. If that works, great. If not, then it must be 4x times 3x. So when you're doing the crisscross method, there is a lot of trial and error that we need to take care of. So let's just clean this up so we can go through the question. So 12x squared plus 19x minus 10. I'll start with 12x times x. Hopefully I'll get lucky and this will work. So factors of 10. So we have factors of 10. That could be 10 times 1, or maybe it's 5 times 2. So let's just start with 10 and 1. Let's try 10 and 1 first of all. So if I put the 10 here and the 1 here, you guys can probably tell this isn't going to work. 12x by 10, 120x. X by 1, 1x. Definitely not getting a 19x from that situation. And what if we change it the other way around? Let's put the 10 here and the 1 here. So 12x by 1, 12x. X by 10, 10x. With a 10x and a 12x, we won't be able to combine those to get a 19x. So it's definitely not the 10 or the 1. let's try the 2 and the 5. So let's say I put the 2 here and the 5 here. 12x by 2, that will be 24x. X by 5, that will be 5x. And yes, we can combine these to get a plus 19x. If we have a plus 24 and a minus 5, that will tidy up to plus 19x, which is good because that's what I'm looking for. So in order for this to be a minus 5x, this must be minus 5 here. In order for that to be a plus 24x, that must have been 12x by a plus 2. And this is good because minus 5 and plus 2 are factors of minus 10. Because remember, minus times plus would be a minus. So all our signs have worked out here. So this is good. So then our final answer, 12x minus 5 bracket x plus 2. Now it's important to understand that if this didn't work out, if the 5 and the 2 didn't work out here, then it wouldn't have been 12x and x. My next step would have been try, 6x and 2x. And if that didn't work, try 4x and 3x. So it's important to understand the amount of trial and error you may have to do when you do the crisscross method. So that is the crisscross method. So that's the second method taken care of. As I've already said to you, you do not need to know all three methods. So if you think the crisscross method is the one for you, just stop the video now and go ahead and practice your questions. What we're going to look at now is the final method, the method where we go straight to the two brackets. This can be the quickest method once you get good at it. And we're going to do the exact same three questions again with this method. So let's look at this first one here. 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. We call this the two brackets method because we go straight to writing out the two brackets. And the first thing we put into each bracket is what multiplies to give me 2x squared. That's 2x times x. The other thing we put into each bracket is what multiplies to give me 3. So the factors of 3 are just 3 and 1. Once again, do I put the 3 here and the 1 here? Or do I put the 3 here and the 1 here? So what we do is we do a multiplication check. Outside by outside, inside by inside. So I'm going to multiply the 2x by the 3 and I'll get 6x. I'm going to multiply the 1 by the x and I'll get 1x. And we need to be able to add those and get the 5x in the middle. So right now, if I add 1x and 6x, I will get 7x. So that means my layout's not correct. I have to swap the position of the 1 and the 3. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's put the 3 here and the 1 here and have a look. So if I multiply 2x by 1, I'll get 2x. If I multiply 3 by x, I'll get 3x. And when I combine those and add them, I'll get 5x as long as they're all pluses. And in this case, because in the question everything was a plus, in the answer everything is going to be a plus. So you can see here, my result is 2x plus 3 times x plus 1. A lot of you guys will probably have realized that the two brackets method is really the same thing as the crisscross method. It's just a different way of laying it out. So they're exactly the same method. It's just a different way of laying it out. Well, in this one, you go straight to your two brackets. So as you get quicker, you just go straight to the answer. Let's have a look at another example here. 5x squared plus 17x plus 6. So once again, we have 5x times x. Factors of 6 could be 6 times 1, or maybe it's 3 times 2. So how do we know what one to pick? Well, remember, 5x will get multiplied by whatever one I put here. X will get multiplied by whatever one I put there. And after that, it needs to combine to plus 17x. So as you get better at this, you can do the trial and error in your head. What I'm going to do here is put the 3 here and the 2 here. As you can see, 5x times 3, that's 15x. 2 times x, that's 2x. And adding those, you're going to get your plus 17x. So these must all be pluses. So our final answer, 5x plus 2, bracket, x plus 3. Okay, last example here. 12x squared plus 19x minus 10. So same again, two brackets, 12x times x we'll start with. As I said in the crisscross method, if 12x times x doesn't work, maybe it would be 6x times 2x, or maybe it would be 4x times 3x, and there's really only one way to find out. We have to go through the trial and error and find out. So we start out with the 12x times x, and factors of 10, we could have 10 times 1, or maybe 5 times 2. So let's have a look here. We'll just do some trial and error. Remember how it works. The 12x will get multiplied by whatever number I put there. The x will get multiplied by whatever number I put there. And after that, it has to combine to plus 19x. So let's start off by putting the 5 here and the 2 here. So 12x by 5 would be 60x. 2 by x, 2x. Definitely not working. We're not getting 19x there. So that option is not the correct option. So let's put the 2 here and the 5 here. So we can see 12x times 2, that's going to be 24x. And x times 5, that's going to be 5x. Now we can combine them to get a plus 19x as long as we have a plus 24x and a minus 5x. So in order to have a plus 24x, this needs to be a plus 2. And in order to have a minus 5x, this needs to be a minus 5. And having a minus 5 and a plus 2 is good because remember they have to be the factors of minus 10. So minus 5 times plus 2 is minus 10. So a plus and a minus here is good for us. So therefore our final answer, 12x minus 5 times x plus 2. So that is our introduction on factorizing quadratic trinomials. And remember, we looked at 3 different methods: the guide number method, the crisscross method, the 2 brackets method. As I've already said a couple of times, you really only need to know one method. So look back over the video, pick which method you think suits you the best, the one that you understand the best, and then get to practicing these questions using that particular method. You can check all your solutions online, and for access to questions, solutions, graded quizzes and more, visit www.linearmaths.com.